Have you ever stopped to wonder how much of your mind truly belongs to you? Every decision you make, every memory you hold, every thought that flickers across your brain, are you absolutely sure they're yours? Or could someone, somewhere, be pulling the strings, bending your reality, rewriting your identity, and shaping you into something you were never meant to be? This is not a question born from science fiction. This is not just the plot of a horror movie or the stuff of paranoid conspiracy theories whispered in late night conversations. This is history. This is fact. And it is darker than almost anything you have ever been told. In the shadows of the Cold War, at a time when fear of the Soviet Union gripped the United States, the CIA launched a project so secret, so disturbing, that for decades it was denied, erased, and buried under classified files. Its name? MKUltra. The purpose of MKUltra was chilling in its simplicity: to control the human mind, to turn men into puppets, to bend reality itself, from drugs that could shatter your sanity, to hypnosis designed to strip away your free will, to psychological torture that erased identities. The program experimented with it all. And who were the test subjects? Soldiers, prisoners, patients in hospitals, students, and sometimes ordinary people who had no idea they had just stepped into a government experiment. What if your mind was not your own? What if your memories could be erased, rewritten, or twisted until you no longer knew who you were? And what if this was not science fiction, not the plot of a horror film, but something carried out in real life by the very government sworn to protect you? This is not imagination. This is not myth. This is the true story of MKUltra, a top secret CIA program that sought to master the human mind through drugs, hypnosis, and psychological torture. For more than 2 decades, men and women across North America, soldiers, students, patients, prisoners, and ordinary citizens, were used as human test subjects, many without their knowledge, many without their consent. Some never recovered. Some never even realized what had been done to them. Tonight, we peel back the curtain of secrecy. We step into the shadows of Cold War paranoia, and we uncover the twisted truth of MKUltra. To understand why MKUltra began, we must step into the tense atmosphere of the early 1950s. The world had just emerged from World War II, a war that introduced horrors like the Nazi concentration camps and the atomic bomb. But peace was fragile. The globe quickly split in two: the democratic West, led by the United States, and the communist East, led by the Soviet Union. This was the Cold War, a conflict fought not with open battles, but with spies, secrets, and fear. In 1949, the Soviet Union tested its first nuclear bomb. That same year, China fell under communist rule. By 1950, the Korean War had begun, and stories began to circulate that captured American soldiers were being brainwashed by the enemy. These reports terrified the CIA. Could the Soviets and Chinese have developed a method to control human thought? Could they reprogram prisoners, make them confess, or even turn them into double agents? CIA Director Allen Dulles gave a famous speech in 1953, warning of what he called brain warfare. He declared that America's enemies were attempting to control men's minds, and that the United States must not fall behind. And so, Project MKUltra was born. Its goal: to unlock the secrets of the human mind, to weaponize psychology, and to create tools of manipulation that could be used in interrogation, espionage, and warfare. The problem? There were no boundaries, no limits, no rules. At the center of MKUltra was a single chemical, LSD, discovered accidentally by Swiss chemist Albert Hofmann. In 1938, LSD was unlike any substance the world had ever seen. In microdoses, it caused profound hallucinations. Time stretched and warped. Colors bled into one another. People saw visions that felt real, visions of death, of God, of alien worlds. To the CIA, LSD was not a recreational drug. It was a weapon. What if you slipped it into the drink of an enemy spy? Would he lose his grip on reality and confess secrets? What if you gave it to a soldier before battle? Would he panic, crumble, and flee? Or what if, just maybe, you could combine LSD with hypnosis or psychological suggestion and program a person to kill without even knowing they had been ordered to? The possibilities were intoxicating, and the CIA rushed to test them. They began by dosing their own employees, secretly, without warning. One CIA agent described how he and his colleagues began to distrust one another, never sure if their coffee had been spiked. In some cases, men broke down, paranoid and terrified, believing they were losing their minds. But it did not stop there. The experiments spread outward, to prisoners, to psychiatric patients, to unsuspecting civilians. Imagine this. You're walking into a hospital for routine treatment. You trust the doctors. You trust the system. Without your knowledge, a powerful hallucinogen is injected into your veins. Hours later, you are screaming in terror as visions consume you, while men in suits observe from behind a glass window, scribbling notes. This was not fiction. This was MKUltra. If MKUltra already sounds disturbing, then Operation Midnight Climax takes it to another level. The CIA established a series of safe houses in San Francisco and New York, disguised as brothels. Prostitutes, secretly paid by the CIA, lured unsuspecting men inside. But instead of simply engaging in what the men thought they had paid for, the women slipped LSD into their drinks. Behind the walls, agents sat watching through two-way mirrors, recording every reaction, every panic, every strange behavior. Why a brothel? Because the CIA believed sex and drugs could be powerful tools of control. They wanted to study how people reacted when compromised, when vulnerable, when their inhibitions were stripped away. They wanted to know if sex could be combined with drugs to create blackmail material, or if it could be used to manipulate foreign agents. The scene was surreal. CIA officers sipping martinis, laughing, while men in the next room were hallucinating, screaming, or breaking down under the influence of drugs they never chose to take. These experiments went on for years. Dozens, perhaps hundreds, of men walked into those rooms, never realizing they were stepping into a government laboratory. The CIA called it research. The victims called it nothing, because most never knew. The most infamous chapter of MKUltra unfolded not in the US, but in Canada, at McGill University's Allen Memorial Institute. Psychiatrist Dr. Donald Ewan Cameron became one of the CIA's key partners. Cameron was respected, a world-renowned psychiatrist, even the president of the American Psychiatric Association. Patients trusted him. But what they didn't know was that he had accepted secret CIA funding for experiments that went far beyond therapy. Cameron believed he could completely erase a person's mind and rebuild it from scratch. He called his process psychic driving. Here's what it meant. Patients were placed into drug-induced comas, sometimes for weeks. They were given enormous amounts of electroshock therapy, far beyond safe levels, while in weakened states, They were forced to listen to repeated messages, played on tape recorders for hours, days, even weeks. The messages might say things like, "You are worthless," "You are weak," over and over. Or they might be positive affirmations, trying to build a new identity. But the results were catastrophic. Patients emerged broken, disoriented, unable to function. Some lost all memory of their families. Others forgot how to speak or regressed to childlike states. These were not criminals or enemy agents. They were ordinary people, mothers, fathers, students, who came to Cameron for help with mild issues like anxiety or depression. They trusted him, and he destroyed them. To this day, survivors of Cameron's experiments recall lost years, confusion, and a sense of betrayal so deep it can never be repaired. Among the many tragedies of MKUltra, one stands out: the mysterious death of Frank Olson. Olson was a U.S. Army scientist who worked with biological weapons. In 1953, he attended a retreat with CIA colleagues. Without his knowledge, his drink was spiked with LSD. Soon after, Olson became paranoid, unstable, and deeply disturbed. He told friends he wanted to quit the CIA. He hinted that he had seen terrible things, things he could not live with. 9 days later, he was dead, having fallen from the 13th floor of the Statler Hotel in New York. The CIA called it suicide, but suspicions lingered. Decades later, Olson's family pushed for the truth. His body was exhumed, and the autopsy revealed injuries inconsistent with a simple fall. Some believe he was murdered, silenced because he knew too much. His story became emblematic of MKUltra: secrecy, betrayal, and the destruction of a man who had once served loyally. For 2 decades, MKUltra operated in shadows. Files were classified, victims were silenced, and the American public had no idea. But in the 1970s, after the Watergate scandal, everything changed. Public trust in government collapsed. Investigations began. The U.S. Senate, under Senator Frank Church, launched hearings into CIA abuses. What they discovered shocked the world: secret experiments on American citizens, mind control programs, and a systematic violation of human rights. But even then, the truth was incomplete. In 1973, CIA Director Richard Helms had ordered nearly all MKUltra files destroyed. Out of tens of thousands of documents, only about 20,000 survived, hidden by accident in a financial archive. What we know today is only a fragment of what truly happened. The full horror may never be known. Officially, MKUltra ended in 1973, but its shadow stretches long. It forced new rules about informed consent, ethics in medical research, and government accountability. But the damage was done. Thousands of lives were ruined. Families were broken. Trust was shattered. MKUltra also gave rise to countless conspiracy theories. Some believe the program never ended, that it simply changed names and went underground. Others claim it inspired ongoing research into psychological manipulation, subliminal messaging, and mass control. In popular culture, MKUltra became legend, from the Manchurian Candidate to Stranger Things. Its influence can be seen in books, films, and television. But we must never forget that behind the fiction were real people, people whose lives were shattered for the sake of experiments they never agreed to join. MKUltra reminds us of a terrifying truth. When power operates without oversight, science can become a weapon, and citizens can become experiments. It forces us to ask, how much do we really know about what our governments are doing today? If this could happen in the 1950s and 60s, what might be happening right now behind locked doors, in secret labs, hidden from public view? Perhaps the scariest part of MKUltra is not what we know, but what we may never know. Thank you for joining us on this journey into one of the darkest chapters of American history. If you want to hear more stories of twisted experiments, dark science, and hidden truths, subscribe to Twisted Experiments. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the shadows of history, and let us know in the comments, do you believe MK Ultra is truly over? Or do you think experiments like this are still happening today, in secret? Until next time, remember, reality is often far more terrifying than fiction.